So we spent a lot of time trying to figure out the perfect tapioca ball for our ice cream episode. And for your benefit now, here's how to make the perfect tapioca ball.
If you're new to Kind of Cooking, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when we have a new recipe. The golden ratio is 2 parts tapioca flour, and actually the tapioca flour, make sure you buy the made in Taiwan one. At the beginning, we used the Thailand one, or maybe our methods are wrong, but that stuff just disintegrated in the water.
We had no bubbles.
You open it like, oh, where did it go? So make sure you buy the Taiwanese tapioca flour. Actually, this is what it looks like. Oh, it's all closed up, but this is what it looks like. Very important. So 2 parts tapioca flour, 1 part water, then half a pot of brown sugar.
So the first part is to add in your water. We're going to bring that to a quick boil, and we're also going to put in our brown sugar.
Another important thing that we found out the hard way is that when you boil this solution, you need to do it in a pot. We were doing it in a pan before and it was boiling too fast, so it's evaporating too fast, and so then it messes up with the ratio, and then this thing just didn't work. So it's quite finicky. So make sure you do it in a pot and don't let it evaporate too much. However, you have to have it in a rolling boil.
Yeah, we actually put a lid on it so it doesn't evaporate too much. So we're going to let that go. Once it comes up to a boil, we're going to pour it into there.
And with this, you have to work fast. Do it all this while it is hot. Make sure to have a heat-proof bowl as well.
And a heat mat on the bottom. When you first start, it's going to be pretty shaggy. Just try and get everything combined, and then once it's all together, we're going to start to knead it.
All right, so try to combine everything. The dough is still pretty hot, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
Once it's all pretty much combined, we like to pour it out onto a silicone mat to knead it. It just makes it so it doesn't stick on your counter.
So a good test to see whether or not it's a good dough is that it's kind of like a Play-Doh. Mm-hmm. We've had ones that's shaggy and falls apart in your hands. We have one that just disintegrates and melts.
Yeah, we had one that we put into a ball, and then you look up and you look back down and it's like a pizza.
Eventually this dough will become smooth.
That's nice.
Yeah, good job, right?
Good job, Karen.
Kevin tried it 5 times. Okay. And then I'm like, okay, let me try. And then I got it.
Did you? I thought you tried it twice.
I tried it once.
No, you did
I did
not.
try it twice.
You tried 2-3 times.
Okay, we both tried really long time.
Okay.
Can't show off here. Okay, once you have it, I would break this in half and then oh, that's a bad half. Put half in saran wrap so it keeps it moist while we roll out the bubbles. Now I'll grab another bowl and then put some flour in it. And now we're rolling. We've seen a lot of other people, what they do is they roll it out and then they cut it and make it all nice and all that, and then they roll it. I'm just gonna skip the cutting step. I'm just gonna pinch it and just roll it directly in my hand. I do 2 at once because this is a very long and tedious process. It takes I think it took us about over an hour to do this entire dough.
Yep. Don't forget these expand when you boil them, so you don't want to make them too big. And the reason we put some mix in there is so they don't all stick together. If you just keep throwing these balls in on top of each other, they'll eventually stick. So every once in a while, you've done a bunch, just give it a little mix and coat them in the tapioca starch, and that way they'll stay together. Stay apart.
You don't want all your hard work to become one giant clump. The noticeable difference that I've seen in the handmade bubbles are that they are so soft. They're really different from the chain bubble teas I've had. I guess this would be one of the reasons why you would want to make it yourself, but it takes a long time.
So you just saw me cover this with saran wrap. This is going to take a while, so when you don't want it to dry out, just cover it and just leave a little bit exposed as you go through these.
Your shape is ugly, Kevin.
You're ugly. You don't have to use all this at once. You can actually freeze it. So after you've coated it in tapioca starch, rolled it, put it into a box or jar, and put it into your freezer. You can also put it into a bag.
When you freeze it, you don't have to thaw it out to use. You can put it directly into boiling water. We have a big pot of water boiling in the back. You need to make sure you use a big pot with a lot of water because these bubbles need a lot of space.
Get them all coated. Before you freeze them or boil them, you're going to want to sift these. So we're going to put this into our strainer. Just pour them in, give it a little shake, and shake out any excess. To make these, you're going to put them into boiling water. Stir it immediately, otherwise you're going to have one large bubble. Get them moving in there, and you're going to see them start to float. As soon as they all float, you're going to turn it down to medium heat and put a lid on it.
Make sure you stir the entire time until every single one floats to the top.
Yeah.
And after the 20 minutes of boiling, don't open the lid. Turn off the heat and let it sit there for 30 minutes. And that's how you get that translucent bubble with all the edges cooked through. Otherwise, your bubble would be hard on the inside.
So we're going to put a bunch of sugar in here. This is to make the brown sugar syrup for the bubbles. I'm actually going to toast it first. This step is optional. You can just pour it directly on your bubbles and let it melt on your bubbles. I'm going to cook it down just a bit.
I think that would create that caramelization taste.
Exactly what I want, yeah.
Usually if you do it for bubble tea, you can put them in ice first and it'll make it even more chewy. So in Taiwanese, it's called Q. That's kind of like the chewy texture of the bubbles.
And since you're working with sugar, you want to be very careful you don't burn it. You know, control your heat. This is really hot. You want to put your finger in, then you want to put it in your tongue and lick it. Do not do that, okay? You will have no taste buds left.
And for these bubbles that has been cooked, you have to eat them within 3 hours.